Welcome back to Brawl Yoga with me, Ruth, and the gang. We have Mythos here, Banksy, and Baby Pig / Bruce. So today in this class we're going to be using props. So if you have blocks, grab them now and place them either side of your mat. We're also going to be using a foam roller and a yoga wheel. If you don't have any of these props, then don't worry, you can adjust and use rolled up towels, cushions, that sort of thing, or you can do a lot of this stuff just without the props, but using the props really does help to assist us. Props in yoga not only make poses easier and help us to practice honesty and help us get into otherwise difficult or unachievable poses, but they can also make it harder at times as well and check things like alignment. So really good to get into the habit of picking up some yoga props. We're going to start with that foam roller, and quite a lot of the time I will start my practice with a foam roller, or I'll certainly use a foam roller last thing at night to ease the spine. And there's loads of health benefits about bringing increased circulation to the body when we're using foam roller, helping us heal quicker from injuries, those kind of things. So many benefits in using a foam roller. Sorry, Mythos, I love you. Good girlie, yes. So starting off with our foam roller, we're going to place the foam roller roughly around the bra strap, or gents just on the upper back. And we're going to bring the hands behind our neck and just cradle the bottom of our cranium, the bottom of our skull, so that we're just relaxing the head and neck completely. From here, take an inhale and lift the hips off the floor. And just take your time really slowly, keying in with the breath, deepening the breath, and just moving as if one vertebra at a time. As we move the foam roller down, we obviously have to support the neck a little bit more and even strengthen into the core a little bit. And as we bring the foam roller upwards, we can relax into the shoulders. So just keep rolling forwards and back here. Play around with whether faster rolling is good for you, slower rolling. And I'm going to show you some other places and techniques that I use the foam roller for as well, but we're not going to take all day. Good. When I can feel the shoulder blades being massaged, I sometimes like to rock the upper body side to side a little bit like this as well, which massages even more. And maybe if you've been doing weight training, you're really sore under this juicy bit just here at the back of the armpit. So very painful on this, but kind of like a good pain. Bend the right leg so the foot's on the floor. Both hands on the ground for support here as well, so we ease ourselves in nice and gently. And just lift the hips a touch off the floor, and we slowly roll forwards and back. Breathing. Letting go of whatever tension is there under the armpit, behind the shoulder blade. And you can do forward and back, or this is a real test of your patience and discipline, is if you inhale, roll back slightly onto the foam roller, and you'll feel the muscle pop over the shoulder blade, and until it pops, you feel like, no, I can't go any further. But as soon as it has popped over, you're like, oh, that release, why didn't I just lean into that sooner? Take your time, see if you can open up onto that foam roller and come sideways again. And maybe it'll take a little bit of jiggling around for you to find it, but it's all good. So you can do the same thing here with the front of the shoulder. You can tiny little jiggling movements, moving on the front of the shoulder as well. You can do the exact same thing with the back of the hamstrings, like so, the calves, turning over, the quads, even the hip flexors, really nice one on the foam roller. And even for digestion, laying down and rolling onto the stomach is a really, really good one. So don't forget, whatever you've gone for, whatever places that are sore in your body, we need to repeat on the other side as well. So I'm just slightly, I'm not going to be here all day, but just evening out the right side. If you two are practicing any kind of inversions, maybe you'll find the same, that you'll have upper body stiffness and tightness. So if you're on that foam roller, keep on going. If you've got a yoga wheel, maybe you want to change over and start by, again, supporting the back of the neck, rolling this foam roller up and down the spine. Really interesting what goes on around the shoulders here, as there's loads of little niggles. Maybe you'll have a few pops and cracks, and that's so normal, so embrace that, go with it. And just make sure you're not straining into the neck at any time. Maybe you want to roll down and try and add a little core strengthener. Roll back and add a heart opener by dropping the bottom towards the floor, opening through the chest. As we roll down, we can squeeze in the core. You can even challenge yourself even more when you're in a position like this by lifting a foot off the floor. Use a hand gesture, mudra, to help find focus. And when I'm doing things like this, where I'm just improvising and experimenting, I really notice the imbalances in the body. For instance, lifting that left leg off the floor and strengthening through my right side of the body is a lot easier than lifting the right leg and strengthening through the left side of the body. So just experiment. Any movement with breath, as far as I'm concerned, is practicing a mindful practice and yoga of some sort. So it doesn't always have to be planned out and scripted. It's very much experimental about your body, and just take the pressure off yourself. And in that way, we're actually more able to experiment and find little strengthening practices in between rests. So let's roll it up to the top of our shoulders if you're on the wheel. And let's settle the bum down and try and get to that space where you can feel mid-back and lower back connecting with the wheel, and then try and drop your bottom to the floor. From here now, we'll squeeze the knees together, keep supporting in the neck, and let the elbows go wide. Breathe. So this is almost practicing a sort of hollow body position. If you're practicing that hollow body in an inversion, quite nice to find this in a relaxed way, and then see if the tummy is completely let go, if you can find strength in the core by squeezing ribs towards hips and strengthening in the core here as we breathe. So we want to remain strong in the core so that we're supporting the body and finding strength instead of just relaxing completely into this pose for a breath or two. Good. And slowly use those fingertips to help lift the head back to center, and we're going to release from our yoga wheel. And the yoga wheel has so many other great benefits to help us with scorpions, chin stand, that kind of thing. For now, we are going to come to the front of our mat and make sure that those blocks are there, and we're just going to do a few flows using our blocks as props to help us strengthen through the body and also help with our alignment and technique as well. So grab one block and we're going to place it in between the thighs. Make sure that not too much of it is protruding through on the front, and you'll see why in a moment. And then we're going to pick up our other block and have it in between the hands. Good. Feet are hip width apart. We're not tucking the tailbone under. We're nipping the ribs towards hips so that we've got that connection in the core. And now squeeze that block in between your thighs. It's like we were squeezing a sheet of paper between your butt cheeks. I want you to squeeze it that much. You got it. Now, taking our hands flat on the wheel, we don't want to, on the block, sorry, we don't want to grab it with fingers. We want to just use pressure of the flat part of your palm pushing into the block. So we're still squeezing in between the thighs, We're squeezing the palms into this block, and then we're going to take the arms out in front of us. Now, squeeze your palms into that block just as much as you're squeezing your thighs into that block. And even this in itself is super challenging. It's great for our shoulders, our strength. We're going to work a little more into the shoulder mobility in a second. Breathe. Good. Now take your block overhead. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, but relax the sides of the neck. Try not to squeeze. So squeeze those hands into the block. Squeeze the thighs into the block again. We're checking what's going on in the shoulders and trying to allow opening into our shoulders here. And even just working this strength is going to help any inversion practice that you're doing, or working towards handstands as well. So even though this seems really simple, it's really beneficial. Don't underestimate. Are you still squeezing those hands into the block? Are you still breathing? Let's find some movement here. We're going to inhale, arms in front. Exhale, take them up overhead, squeezing all the while. Inhale, take it in front. Exhale, overhead. Inhale in front. Exhale, overhead. Inhale in front, exhale overhead. Good, now let's just remain overhead for a few more breaths. Without dropping the block on your head, especially if you're using wooden ones like I am, which is an extra challenge, holding above your head and trying not to drop it on your head, we're gonna squeeze everything into our two blocks. Squeeze, 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 and then release without dropping. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Release without dropping. Keep breathing. Here we go. 3 more. Squeeze with all your might. Exhale, release. Squeeze with all your might. Exhale, release. Squeeze with all your might. And exhale, we're going to fold forwards. Place the block in your hand just to the side. We're going to keep this block between our thighs. Ragdolling here, you can bend the knees. We inhale, flatten the back, find length. As you exhale, hands either side of the feet. Now we're going to go through our vinyasa, keeping this block between the thighs, and this is going to help us introduce a jump, and it's also going to help us make sure that the lower body is firing up correctly. If you've started your yoga practice and you're working a lot on developing upper body strength and mobilization through the wrists and shoulders, that's great, but we again then need to make sure that the lower body is and the core is firing up properly as well. So this is a great technique for that. Hands are on the floor. We take a big inhale, don't overthink it. As you exhale, just gently hop feet from the front to the back of our mat, so we're in our plank position, squeezing that block. If it releases at any time, don't worry, just pick it up, pop it back in, and engage. And this is helping us strength through the pelvic floor as well. You can lower the knees to the ground here and go through your chaturanga. Otherwise, if you feel good, keep the knees lifted. We exhale, chaturanga down. Inhale, baby cobra, cobra, or upward facing dog. And exhale, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Now, just experimenting with what's going on in your downward dog. Maybe you need to turn the big toes inwards a little bit. Maybe you need to squeeze that block a little bit more, and that allows us to find even more length down the spine. Remember, you can bend those knees wherever you're at, it's all good. Keep pushing out through the shoulders, breathe, squeeze, so much to think about. And just come back to the breath. Give yourself a smile here. You're doing great. Even if it's a fake smile, it still gets happy hormones going. Again, without overthinking, we're going to look forwards. Inhale, bend the knees. And as you exhale, we do a little hop, feet from the back to the front, flat back here. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, reach on up, re-squeeze. Exhale, hands through prayer. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Jump the feet front to back, smoothly coming down through chaturanga. Knees can be lowered or lifted. Inhale, cobra or upward facing. Exhale, tuck the toes downward facing. 3 breaths. Maybe you want to find some movement. Can you take these side twists in your downward dog whilst keeping that block in between the thighs? You got it. Finding stillness once more. Inhale, look forwards, bend the knees. Think about bringing the chest towards the shins as we jump the hips over the head. Here we go. Feet from back to front. Inhale, flatten the back. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, reach it on up. Exhale, hands to prayer. One more. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, flatten the back. Exhale, fold. Little hop front to back. Straight down to your chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing. Exhale, downward facing for 3 breaths. Re-squeeze. Recenter. Revive, baby. You're putting this time in for yourself. Well done. Inhale, look forwards, bend the knees. Little hop forwards. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach on up. Exhale, hands down through prayer. Good. You may release your block now. Well done. And slowly, slowly, we're going to come down, all the way down to our mat. Bottom on the floor, legs out in front of you. So hopefully you can see how we're using blocks. I'm going to be doing loads of other things to use props, but how using props can really help transform and strengthen your practice. So always be open to trying new things and grabbing those blocks whenever you need them. Taking legs out in front, the knees can be bent. We prefer straight spine. We inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forwards. Keep on finding length in the spine. And if you struggle to lengthen the spine and you're really forcing to straighten the legs like this, then just swap over. So we bend the legs and straighten the spine. It's all good. Slowly come back to center. We're going to cross the left leg over the right, hug this knee in towards the chest. We inhale, the left arm goes up and over to the back. Focus on your breath here. Keep the right foot flexed and toes facing up to the ceiling. Each time we inhale, we lengthen. And each time we exhale, we just move into the twist as much as feels comfortable for you in this moment. Slowly come back towards the front. Open this left knee out to the side now. Flex the left ankle. And we're just crossing left leg over right in a figure 4. Once more here, we inhale, arms up. And exhale, fold forwards. Coming back to the breath, back to the center. Really try and let go in that right quad. It's challenged here, especially if you've got quite a knobbly ankle. So try and let go. It's similar to that muscle that pops over the shoulder as we're foam rolling. If you're able to let go, every time we get to that moment, I always think, oh, why didn't I just let go sooner? But it's part of the process. It's part of recognizing what your tendencies are and recognizing what changes day to day with how the body holds on and how the body learns to let go. One more breath wherever you're at. Slowly come back to the center, release. And we'll cross right leg over left this time. Hugging the right knee in towards the chest. Inhale, right arm comes up and over. Flex that left foot and toes to ceiling. And remember, inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, we twist. Whenever you're ready, come back to the center. Let that right knee knock out. Flex the right ankle. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. And really try and let go in that left quad, in the back of the hips. One more big breath wherever you're at, and And then slowly coming back to center, release the leg, give them a jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. On our way down to the mat, scooch the butt forward a teeny bit. We'll go through our Navasana boat pose. You can keep the feet on the floor. You can lift them to tabletop. You can support behind the legs, and your legs can either be bent or straight, depending on where you're at in your practice. So take whichever version feels good for you. Find a little compression into those hips. Straighten the spine. We're here with the breath for 10. Keep making these micro adjustments. Can you find more length? Can you sit even taller onto your sit bones without falling? 5, 3, 2, 1. Good. As we lower down, we're going to straighten the legs, scoop the butt underneath, coming into this low, hollow body position. If you're shaking, you're doing the right thing. Stay here if it's enough. If you want a little more, get those arms overhead. The back of our spine should be flush to the mat. We're breathing here. This is a great handstand preparation, as this is the exact shape we're making in a handstand. For 3, 2, 1, relax down to the floor. Well done, you did it. Bring the soles of the feet to the ground and just let the knees, windscreen wiper, let the knees knock side to side. Lengthening out both legs now, coming to your Shavasana. Tuck the shoulders underneath, palms are facing up. We come back to the long, deep breaths. Start to notice whenever you become distracted by either thinking or feeling. These are the two things we become distracted by during any meditation. And it's so normal. That's what our mind, our body, and our brain was designed to do. But it's the first step, noticing. And then as soon as we've noticed, we just bring our attention back to the breath. And the more we practice this, the longer we're able to focus our attention just on the breath, and lessen distractions and find more stillness and peace. So there is no right or wrong. Just keep breathing. Noticing your distractions and coming back to the breath. Stay here for as long as you have time for. Otherwise, start to bring a little movement back into the fingers and toes. When you're ready, bring the knees and hug them into the chest. Roll over onto whichever side is best for you. Take 2 or 3 breaths here in transition before bringing your way back to a comfortable seated pose. Grounding down through the sit bones, lengthening through the spine. Bring your hands to heart center. Exhale, sigh. Thank yourself for stepping onto the mat, for being gentle and kind to yourself. And I want you to take with you from this practice the mantra of, I will always be kind to myself. I will always be kind to myself. I will always be kind to myself. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video, then please give it a like and make sure that you subscribe, as that really does allow me to keep on being able to share free yoga with people who might not be able to afford a class or afford any investment in their own mental health as well as physical health and well-being. So please show your support by subscribing, and why not share this video with someone in your community you know could benefit from doing a little self-work. Share it with anyone that you think will benefit from it. And again, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.